Hey everyone, this is Jake, and today we are going to be talking about all the SSR ships within the Korean server. So there are 3 ships that you are not able to get within C server, but don't worry about it, I will also talk about those as well. I will talk about each ships one by one in the order, and at the end I will rate them and give my rankings and which ship will be the best and what kind of ships that you do not want to miss making in the future. So anyways, let's jump into this video and let's talk about all the ships within counter side. So first ship we're going to talk about is the Lake Superior. This ship has really cool design. I really love this blue aura going on. It reminds me a lot of ship from with the Matrix. So I love the design of the ship. It seems really bulky, it seems really tanky, and this ship is really tanky. It has a high HP because it's an armor ship, and the moving range for the ship is actually really good. So this is something you definitely want to invest if you want to have very defensive option. Passive skill wise, it is really good. It is able to increase all allies units damage taken by 20%. So the reason this passive is good is as you move forward, especially with the PvP, there will be a lot of cases you're mixing up units, especially soldier and counters. So by having this ship, unlike the armor ship, you are able to give both units a nice amount of passive buff. Where if you're using armor, you might be able to give more defensive options to counter units, but soldier units will not be able to take a benefit with the passive skills they have. So this ship will be more useful in my opinion, and not to mention the active skill is actually really good. That's able to give some barriers as you start off the round. Not only it gives the immunity for the hit stunts, it also gives a barrier to units that is sealed by these barrier skills. So within PvP, this ship is definitely comes really handy, and this is not something to take lightly within PvE as well. So in some cases, you definitely need these extra barriers at the start to survive some first wave attacks from the enemies for the end game contents like a Shadow Palace. So I think this ship is really good both in terms of PvE and PvP. It gives a lot of freedom to what kind of units that you want to put in your squad. And goes for the second active skill, it is creating 2 field and it is gathering enemies together within the middle. So this passive could come really handy, especially with the PvP, because there are some units in the back, especially like a sniper units that you're not able to reach. This skill will pull them across to the middle range of the map, and you are definitely able to take them down easier that way. Definitely one of the top ships that you can go for. I'll definitely not regret making this ship for sure. This is one of the Japanese ship. It is pretty cool looking ship. It reminds me of the Gundam, especially the Unicorn. Now the ship aesthetically, like I said, is pretty cool. The cool part of the ship is that it is able to give a crit chance as well as a crit damage for all allies. So this kind of buff is pretty crazy. Not only that, it gives a lot of crit chance, it is giving crit damage for 25%. There's no real ways to increase your crit chance and able to hit with the 100% crit. This will definitely give more odds as well as more crit damage towards him. And so Kami's first skill is definitely not some kind of skill that you will take much benefit within PvE, but when it comes to PvP, this skill rocks. There are some units comes with the essential buff as they start of the round. Some units will get the immunity buff as they go into the battle stage. So something like this will definitely able to strip those buff off from the enemies, and you are able to kill them off right away. So this skill is very good skills to have. There are soldier units that's coming out that has some kind of invincible buff when she goes down to 1 HP. So by throwing this down, you are able to remove the immunity buff of her and able to kill her right away. And active skill is just shooting pretty red razor towards to your enemies. It's nothing too crazy. I think it's just okay skill. So Kami is definitely very good, both choice for PvE and PvP, because crit damage passive is insane, and for the PvP you can be able to strip buffs and shoot some laser across the map, which is really good. So next ship we're going to talk about is the armor type, and how is armor type now within Korean server. Armor type used to be really good because it was one of the only defensive option ship it had. It was before the Lake got buffed, but since Lake got buffed, I think it lost a lot of meanings towards to being a defensive ship. The passive skill wise, it gives a 20% damage taken for the counter units, where the Lake gives 12% to all allies units. So In the future, you will definitely be using a lot of mixed setup for especially within PvP. Having it limited to only the counter units with the passive buff will definitely hold down the ship for big time. There are certain wigs, if the lake is banned, then you will pull out the armor type, but out of that, when the lake is not banned, there is pretty much no real reason to go for the armor type in my opinion. Not to mention, active skill, armor type is pretty bad. It's able to knock up the enemies, but it doesn't really help through the battle at all. It's not something you can use it right away. It's have to wait until enemies get close to your ship. So it's pretty useless skill that you most likely not really able to take a benefit of it, especially if you're winning the front line. Its active skill is definitely not a bad skill. It's able to pull enemies up in the air, but that is pretty much it. It only does for a couple seconds. It only does tiny bit of damage. So compared with the lake's active skill, it is pretty lackluster. So overall, this ship is one of those ships kind of got pushed back after lake got buffed, and something you definitely don't want to craft. PvE wise, this ship is pretty bad. None of the skills works pretty well. You can't even lift the boss up. So yeah, the ship is pretty bad in terms of PvE and PvP. So something that you definitely want to avoid using, unless, like I said, you have a lot of mats around and you're dealing with the week where lake is banned like 3-4 times like this week, then yeah, maybe you want to pull out the armor type then. But other than that reason, I don't really see a huge reason to use this ship right now with the Korean server as well as the sea server. Next ship we'll talk about is the pod type. Pod type used to be really good first choice to go within Korean server when it first came out, because active skill did a lot of damage, but that it will only to find out the active skill was actually bugged out. So it had the bug, so it was doing way more damage than it was supposed to do. So they fixed the bug, they refunded the ships, so everyone just refunded the ship, and with the mats they got, they go ahead and crafted different ships instead. Evasion buff was really nice, but it's really hard to feel a difference time to time with the evasion buffs. Active 1 skill lowering attack speed is definitely not something bad, but they are better options. Like for example, Kami is able to lower the attack speed as well as removing the buff. So something like Kami already has a better version of the skill, and like I said, active skill is something, and the second active skill is still pretty decent. It's able to still do a decent amount of damage while lowering their defense by 25%, but when it comes to lowering defense and doing good damage, there are better options for other ships as well. So basically, pod type has worst of all, just inferior ship now. No one wants to craft this ship. This is one of the ship I still have at level 30 after I refunded it, and I can't really recommend this ship for anyone. This is one of the ships you definitely want to avoid making alongside with the armor set. I think this is basically the worst ship out there right now. And next ship we're going to talk about is New Ohio. This ship definitely has one of the best design in the game. This is the ship Karin Wong summons when she uses her ultimate skill. So I really love this ship in terms of design wise. So passive skill, it increases allied units damage on enemy soldiers by 20%. So don't get confused, it's not like your soldier units doing 20% extra damage, it's your units doing enemy soldiers extra 20% damage. So this might seem pretty useless time to time, especially when PvP, but in PvE, especially endgame content like in Shadow Palace, you will definitely take a huge benefit from this passive skill. So this is one of the key essential ships right now within Korea server to use within Shadow Palace. Along with the active skill, they are both reducing cooldown, able to seal enemy skills. It is just totally insane skill, especially both in PvP and PvE. A lot of times you're not even able to take a benefit of the first passive skill it has, but they still use this ship within PvP because this 2 active skill is just so crucial and crazy good. Like selling enemy skill within the first couple seconds would make them definitely really useless, and you can quickly take them out if you use the right compositions and setup. As soon as they are out of the skill ceiling debuff, the active skill should be ready to use, and the active skill will go further and push their cooldown time to even lower stage. Only downside the ship has is definitely the passive skill, which tend to not work that great within PvP. If this ship had a better passive skill, I think this ship will be banned 24/7. Like, this ship is just insane. It's just so insane, I just can't say anything more. With the sea server right now, this ship is definitely designed for more for PvP aspects, but in the future when the Shadow Palace comes out and other contents, you will definitely use this ship a lot. So wait on your mats until then, but this ship is definitely a really good choice to make in the future. And once you unlock the New Ohio, you can craft New Detroit. New Detroit looks really cool as well. It's basically a red and black version of New Ohio. The ship shoots a flame, which is awesome. The passive skill definitely specialized within striker units, so in the future when you have more striker units come out, you can definitely create a crazy rush deck that is special within PvP that works really well. So passive skill is pretty good for striker comp, and as well as the active skill, pretty decent damage, does a nice additional things. But second active skill is where it goes crazy. This ship is definitely one of the ship got boosted pretty well when the operator system came out, which I will talk more about in the future. But with the operator combined with the attack boost it gets, this ship's second active skill does crazy amount of damage, especially within PvP, and able to lower enemies' defense. So I would definitely say this ship is very designed for rushing enemies frontline and just mowing them down before they're trying to save up their costs and trying to, you know, sabotage your deck one by one. So this deck is specializing breaking through their front line and just taking them all down. If you watch my Niles PvP video, you will definitely be able to see what kind of ship and what kind of striker setup could definitely be able to pull off in a situation like this in the future setup. So yeah, check this ship out. Once you craft the new Ohio, you will definitely find this ship really useful, especially with the endgame contents that's coming out in the future probably as well, like the clash mode, because that 50% defense debuff with the second active skill is definitely insane buff and boosts up your DPS by crazy amount. So the Enterprise, this one is going to be a very quick one because this ship is just so good. You don't even have to ask me. This ship is one of the best ship out there, both in PvE and PvP. In Korean server, it definitely lost some spots for the PvP usage, but definitely still really good. The active skill is amazing, passive skill is amazing, definitely something that you definitely want to keep using, especially within PvE. And it's so good that a lot of people who goes crazy hardcore within PvE content in Korean server, they craft a duplicate version of this ship because ship is that good. You know, like I said, I think Counter-Side is one of those games that you don't really need a duplicate, and this ship is one of the exception on the list basically. So that should prove you how good this ship is. Go and craft this ship. It's able to do damage, it's able to boost up your damage nicely with the passive buff, and able to lower their defense with the active skills, causing you to do more damage. So overall, very good ship, especially for PvE. Go and craft this, you will not regret making this ship for sure. And the last ship we're going to talk about within C server is the carrier type. To craft this ship, you need to craft the Enterprise first, and it'll be unlocked, then you can craft the ship. This is one of the first ships that focuses on the soldier units. So passive skill boosts their attack points as well as the HP, and active skill is really good. It's able to give them nice defense buff as well as giving barriers. So these two skills are really amazing. Soldiers are able to pull out so much units at the beginning, so giving them all the shields and defense boosts to hold your front line is definitely really good skills to have. Only problem is that the active skill seems to be really bad in terms of damage, as well as it just knocks them up in the air a tiny bit. It's not like an armor type's active skill either. So it is pretty lackluster after you're done with the first active skill, and the ship just seems kinda be there, you know, ship doesn't really do much after that. So this ship is for the Soldier Mania. It's definitely a pretty good ship. Like passive is definitely not bad. Active skill is pretty good. So with the PvE, you will definitely see some benefits. But this ship is definitely something that you don't want to crap unless you're crazy about the soldier units. This ship is designed and only designed for soldier units. So you only want to craft the ship if you're planning to use the soldier units in the future. So that is pretty much it for all the SSR ship within C server right now. I thought about the 3 ships that will be coming in the future as well, but those ships are pretty unique and they are pretty complicated in many different ways, so I think I should be making separate videos for it. I actually have a clip of me talking about those ships and it's like 17 minutes long, so I don't think I wanted to make this video into like 30 minutes long video. So I think I'll end this video here. This video should give you pretty decent guides of what to craft and what to not to craft. Definitely the 3 choices you will go for is Enterprise, Kami, and Lake. And once you're done with those, consider investing into Ohio and the new Detroit at the same time. Save your mats until the Shadow Palace comes out, and that will be the time you probably comfortable spending your mats to craft the new Ohio and craft the new Detroit in the future when there is more strikers units out within the game. But that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Sorry for taking such a long time. I just wanted to make sure I don't really miss anything when I start talking about this video. Pretty much all the sides of the ship and where to use the ships as well. Anyways, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this video makes some decision for you and future decision that you've been thinking about to what ships to craft. I will see you guys next time with more videos, so stay tuned. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye bye.